Hello, fellow gamers. It's almost time for the crowd sale of Somewhere in the Heavens, They Are Waiting. And I wanted to tell you a little more about the game, and hopefully this information I give you will help you decide if you want to buy or not. The inspiration behind the game, if you don't know, is the game Marathon, which back in 1994-95, Bungie Software, yes, the makers of Halo and now Destiny, they created this first-person shooter for the Mac platform called Marathon. And to me, it was a Doom killer. Everybody knew about Doom. But Marathon had a great story, and you got to fight. You had missions to go on. And it's just a very nostalgic thing for me, and thought it should really be put into a board game format. The combination of strategy in confined spaces and the actions available to you, that's what I wanted to capture in this game. Obviously, along with the story, because if the story's no good, in my opinion, it just doesn't drive the game very well. Okay, so what makes Somewhere in the Heavens, They Are Waiting a game? Well, if you like fighting, science fiction, and upgrading yourself, you're going to like this game. What I wanted to bring over from the computer game into the board game form is how you move around in the environment with the weapons that you are equipped with, because sometimes you'll have weapons that you can't use up close. Sometimes you'll have weapons that only you can use up close. You'll be in tight, confined spaces. Sometimes you won't be. So thinking about how you move in those spaces and what weapons you use in those spaces, and also the resources available. In Marathon, ammunition was hard to come by. And while that's not necessarily the case here, in the way that you play your cards, literally, you could lose cards, you can keep cards. I really wanted to try to match the pace and the thoughtful story behind it, combined with the chaos of fighting aliens. Some of the missions that you will have to do. The first level is a pretty straightforward, fairly easy tutorial level, but there is story there that will carry you through the rest of the game. In some levels, you have to steal something. In other missions, there's some sabotage involved. In one mission, you are basically kidnapped. There are things you have to repair. And of course, all of these missions will have different obstacles that you'll have to deal with. You won't have to have played the game Marathon or know anything about it to buy this board game and to play it. But if you're a fan of science fiction, you love storylines in your game, and you like fighting and upgrading, you're going to like this game. But those of you who do know Marathon, you're going to see a lot of Easter eggs spread throughout the story and on the maps. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the fine adjustments that I've made in the battles and the battle cards and how you interact with the aliens. In some of my playthroughs, you'll notice that I don't have some of the cards that you might find, and you don't have the cards that I have in my playthroughs. One example of that would be the holographic projection card. I completely took that out of the game because it just didn't make sense, and in the playtesting nobody really used it that much because of the defense rolls and some of the other suit upgrades. It kind of became an item that wasn't needed, so I took that completely out of the game and replaced it with some other battle cards. Part of the fine-tuning of the game was done between the decisions that you make in battles and when you would use some of your battle cards. I really like that tight balance of knowing when to use it. Do I hold it back for later? Those kinds of things I think will make the game much more enjoyable. All that to say, why do I reveal that? It's because I'm always tweaking and refining how the game played, and I wanted it to be fun all the way through. I didn't want to waste any component that might be available. And so all the way up until the sale, I will be refining and tweaking things so that you get the maximum enjoyment from the game. That's the update, and I hope that you will consider purchasing it. I think you will enjoy it. Again, there's a booklet available, so you don't have to use a web app. I actually have a whole other story ready for this as a sequel. If it does well enough, I will definitely create the sequel to it. And if you are a former Marathon player or still play, I created this scenario called Operation Wormwood a long time ago, which is where some of the storyline comes from. That's been my contribution to the Marathon community, and now I want to make another one, but this time for board gamers as well.